Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another edition of Mark's Action Figures. There was a moment in the mid-2000s when DC Comics didn't just look different. It felt bigger, louder, and more powerful than ever before. Massive chests, explosive proportions, heroes that look like they could punch through planets. And at the center of it all was one artist, Ed McGuinness. Today, we're diving into one of the most visually distinctive action figure lines ever produced by DC Direct. The Public Enemies series and the Justice League of America Classified line. All based on that unmistakable McGuinness style. Now, first, I want to delineate what counts as Ed McGuinness DC Direct figures. Not every DC Direct figure from that era qualifies. We're only including figures that are based directly on artwork by Ed McGuinness, from Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, and related arcs, or part of the JLA Classified McGuinness style line. This excludes Michael Turner waves, Ethan Van Sciver waves, and Alex Ross Justice lineup, and generic DC Direct sculpts. To understand these figures, you need to understand the era. In the early 2000s, DC was experimenting with bold, high-impact storytelling. One of the standout arcs, Superman, Batman, Public Enemies, written by Jeff Loeb and illustrated by Ed McGuinness. This wasn't subtle superhero storytelling. This was larger-than-life action, over-the-top power scaling, a Justice League that felt almost mythological. And fans loved it, myself included. So naturally, DC Direct stepped in and said, let's turn this into a collectible line. So before we even talk about the figures, we need to talk about the look. Because this line lives or dies on style. McGuinness characters are instantly recognizable because huge upper bodies, thick limbs, compact waists, almost animated exaggeration. Think Superman built like a tank. Batman, like pure muscle and intimidation. A Justice League that feels physically unstoppable. And DC Direct didn't tone this down. They leaned all the way into it. So let's start with the main event. Public Enemies series. This is where the line really shines. You get core characters like Superman, Batman, Captain Marvel, Shazam, Lex Luthor, and a ginormous power suit. Major villains and allies from the storyline. These figures are highly stylized. They're not super articulated, but incredibly display driven. These are statue action figure hybrids, and honestly, that works in their favor because the sculpting captures the exaggerated anatomy, the dynamic poses, the raw comic book energy. The paint detail, while the bold and clean colors stand out, strong comic accurate shading, faces that actually resemble McGuinness's art. And that's not easy to do. A lot of comic-based lines lose the artist's identity. This one truly doesn't. Limitations. Well, let's be real. Articulation is limited. Some figures feel stiff, not ideal for heavy posing or play, but that's not what these were meant for. These were made for collectors, display, shelf presence. Now, the JLA Classified series is where things got to expand. The Justice League of America Classified line takes the same McGuinness style and applies it to a broader roster. Now you're getting Green Lantern, Flash, Wonder Woman, and more Justice League members, each one redesigned through that same exaggerated lens. Consistency across the line, one of these characteristics that just comes through is that they are visually consistent. When you line them all up, they look like they belong in the same universe. Same proportions, same sculpt philosophy, same energy. And that's something a lot of lines fail to achieve. From a collector appeals perspective, this line hits a sweet spot, not too expensive at the time, unique compared to standard DC figures, instantly recognizable style. Today, they've become cult collector pieces, especially for fans of McGuinness art. The DC Direct figures based on Ed McGuinness have incredible sculpt and comic accuracy, but they come with some serious drawbacks. These are display pieces first, not durable action figures. The plastic is very brittle, and I do mean very brittle. If you try to pose or articulate them too much, joints can snap with minimal pressure. The plastics that are used for the joints are extremely friable. I personally have an Atom figure break an arm with almost no handling. And even I have one of my Flash figures had one of the lightning wings on his head snap off, just sitting him in storage. On top of that, the paint apps are delicate. They can rub off easily, especially if figures touch each other. So careful storage. Ideally, wrap individually is a must. So each figure needs to be wrapped within a paper towel. Bottom line, they look fantastic on the shelf, but handle them like fragile collectibles, not toys. What makes these figures stand out to me is they don't just represent characters. They represent a moment in comics, a time when everything felt bigger, louder, more intense. And when you hold these figures, you're not just holding Superman or Batman. You're holding an entire era. Now, these figures include Superman, Batman, Shazam, Hawkman, Metallo, Future Superman, Nightwing, Steel, and Lex Luthor. And that's from the Public Enemies lines. Then the Vengeance era, you'll get Bat-Zaro, Bizarro, Superwoman, Batwoman, Batman Beyond, Kryptonite Batman, Power Girl, Joker, and Mr. Mxyzptlk. In the JLA Classified line, you get Superman, a lighter blue costume version of Superman. Batman, the gray-blue version. Wonder Woman, Flash, Green Lantern, Hal Jordan, Jon Stewart, and Kyle Reiner. Aquaman, both the classic version and the modern look with the hooked hand. Superman Blue, Superman Red, the Atom, and Martian Manhunter, a larger version and beautiful version of Martian Manhunter. And from the Superman Through the Ages boxed set, there's Superman Robot. So, where do these stand today? The Public Enemies and JLA Classified lines are not the most articulated, not the most modern, very, very fragile, but they are some of the most visually distinctive DC figures ever made. They capture an artist's vision almost perfectly, and that's something collectors will always value. Let me know in the comments, do you prefer highly articulated figures or sculpt-driven pieces like these? And if you're into deep dives on vintage and modern collectibles, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and comment. And I will see you in the next review.